Hello, and welcome to our channel. Here we share real-life stories that touch the heart, test the soul, and remind us how complicated love, trust, and family can be. Today's story is about a man who thought he had it all, until one phone call and one painful truth changed everything. Sit back, put on your headphones, and let the story begin.
My name is Nick Wallace. I'm 42 years old, and for the past 15 years, I've been running a swimming pool installation business here in San Antonio, Texas. My company, Wallace Pools, started out with a beat-up pickup truck and a dream. Now it's a steady business with a solid reputation. I'm honest, do quality work, and always show up on time. That's what helped me survive in a competitive market full of empty promises. I met Jenna Lawson 3 years ago while working on a pool installation at her neighbor's house. She was standing by the fence holding a little girl who looked about 4. They were both watching me dig the trench like I was performing some kind of heart surgery instead of laying pipes. The girl, with this serious little face, waved at me every time I looked up. "Mom, why is that man digging such a big hole?" she asked. She laughed, and honestly, that laugh made me forget every measurement I had taken earlier that morning. "He's building a pool for hamsters, Ellie," she told her daughter, then glanced at me. "Sorry, we can't stop watching. It's actually really fascinating." I wiped my hands on my shirt, walked over to the fence, and said, "No problem at all. I'm Nick Wallace." "Jenna Lawson," she said, shifting Ellie to her other arm, "and this is my daughter, the curious little monkey." That's how it all started. Nothing special, but by the end of that same week, I was drinking coffee on her back porch before heading out to job sites. Ellie sat between us drawing fish in swimming pools, while Jenna and I talked about everything and nothing. Jenna was 37. She worked in marketing for a local medical supply company. Smart, funny, beautiful, no makeup, and still turned heads wherever she went. But the most important thing? She was an incredible mom. Ellie wasn't my biological daughter, but the way Jenna talked to her, listened to her, cared for her, it said a lot, or at least it seemed that way at the time. Jenna didn't talk much about the girl's dad. She once told me that Tyler left when Ellie was just 2, said he wasn't ready to be a father, and moved somewhere up near Ohio. That was it. I didn't ask again. I mean, what kind of man walks out on a kid like that? Not worth a breath. I fell for both of them.
I started thinking about putting a kiddie pool in my backyard, just so Ellie could learn how to swim. At first, she called me Mr. Nick, then just Nick, and one day the words slipped out, "Daddy Nick." Jenna froze for a second, like she was about to correct her, but I just waved it off. Honestly, it felt kind of nice. I proposed to her last December, right there in her living room. Ellie helped hide the ring inside her dollhouse. She practically jumped for joy when I got down on one knee. "Mom, will you marry us?" she blurted out. Jenna and I both laughed through tears. She said yes, and we started planning a wedding. Nothing huge, just a small ceremony with close friends and family in a little outdoor venue by the lake. Ellie was going to be our flower girl. My parents were already dreaming about spoiling her rotten. Everything felt perfect, maybe even too perfect. But I was just too grateful to question it. The wedding was set for June 15th, less than 2 months away. The venue was booked, the food was ordered, and I'd had her ring custom-made by a jeweler friend in Chicago. We'd been living together for 8 months already, splitting expenses like partners. At least, I thought we were. But when you're building something solid, it's easy to forget that the foundation needs checking too. It was just a regular Tuesday, late April. I'd just gotten back from a job site and was in the garage, sorting tools after a long day. We'd been installing a spa zone for a client. That's when Jenna showed up in the doorway. She stood there like she didn't belong in her own home, like she'd rather be anywhere else. Nick, we need to talk, she said in that tone women use right before flipping your entire world upside down. I set down the wrench and turned to her. Okay, I'm listening. She walked over to the workbench, leaned against it, fiddling with her engagement ring. I've been thinking a lot lately about the wedding, about us. Everything's moving so fast, and I'm feeling really overwhelmed. Alarms were going off in my head, but I kept my cool. So what are you thinking? I think I need some space. 2, maybe 3 weeks, just to clear my head, reset. Like a punch to the gut, but I'd learned the hard way that pushing in a moment like that only makes things worse. Space? You mean you're going somewhere? Yeah, she nodded. I think I'll visit Marina, my old college roommate. She lives in Santa Cruz now. I just need some time by the ocean, clear my mind. All the wedding prep has been so draining. I can't even think straight anymore. And Ellie? I asked right away. That was the most important thing to me. No matter what was happening with Jenna, I was responsible for that little girl. I'll leave her with my mom, she answered quickly. It'll be more stable for her while I figure things out. Something felt off. Jenna didn't look tired from wedding stress. She looked checked out, like she'd already made up her mind. Her eyes were distant, flat. But I convinced myself otherwise. Maybe she really did just need to decompress. She'd had rough stretches before. Last year, she almost quit her job from burnout, then took a weekend off and bounced back fine. So how long exactly? I asked. 2 weeks? Maybe 3? I just need to be sure I'm getting married for the right reasons. I walked over and hugged her. She was tense as a stretched wire. If this is what you need, go, I told her. I'll wait because I love you. She nodded and buried her face in my shoulder like she was crying. Thank you for understanding. I'll come back. This will be good for us. Right. That famous line. This will make us stronger. Turns out those were the last words we ever said as a couple. She left 3 days later. 2 suitcases, a quick kiss on the cheek, a tight hug for Ellie, and a soft, "I'll be back soon." I stood at the edge of the driveway, watching her car pull away, and feeling like more than just a vehicle was leaving. It felt like I was losing something I'd spent 3 years building. The first week without her crawled by like a wounded animal. I buried myself in work, taking on 3 pool projects at once, jobs I'd normally spread out over a whole month. That's what I do when everything inside me is falling apart. I keep my hands busy so my brain stays quiet. In the evenings, I picked up Ellie from her grandma's, Jenna's mom, Margaret, and brought her home. Made her dinner, gave her a bath, read bedtime stories. Every night she asked, "When's Mommy coming back?" And every time I gave her the same answer. "Soon, sweetheart. She's just tired. She needs some time to think." But Margaret didn't look too convinced. That Friday, when I came to get Ellie, she said softly, almost whispering, "Nick, something doesn't feel right. Jenna's not the type to run away from her problems. She's always faced things head on. But this, leaving without a real reason or a plan?" I nodded, helped Ellie gather her coloring books, but I was thinking the same thing. Jenna had always been decisive. When her car broke down last year, she researched replacements in 2 days and bought a new one. When Ellie had a cough, she called 3 pediatricians and picked the best. And now, I just need to think. It didn't add up. Maybe it's just nerves, I muttered. Weddings can rattle people in different ways. But I didn't believe it. Not really. That night after Ellie was asleep, I sat in the kitchen staring at my phone. Jenna had promised she'd call when she was ready, but a whole week had passed. Nothing. I wanted to text her, but every time I typed something, I deleted it. She asked for space. I was trying to respect that, even if it was tearing me up inside. By week 2, I had settled into a routine. Work all day, pick up Ellie at 6, dinner, bath, bedtime stories. Then I'd sit alone on the porch with a beer, staring into the night, wondering what the hell was going on. There were 6 weeks left until the wedding. The venue, the caterers, the flowers, everything was on hold, waiting for a bride who might never come back. And then one night on the steps, I decided, enough guessing. I need to know where she is. Not because I didn't trust her, but because I needed to understand. Was I waiting for a real person or chasing a ghost? I wasn't trying to play detective, but sometimes life shoves you into roles you never asked for. That Tuesday of week 2, I grabbed my phone and started digging. Marina Lewis, her old college roommate. Jenna had mentioned her many times. I remembered the last name. A quick search on Facebook confirmed she worked at a real estate agency in Santa Cruz. I called the office. "Hello, this is Marina Lewis, Pacific Coast Realty." "Hi," I said, trying to sound as casual as I could. "This is Nick Wallace, Jenna Lawson's fiancé. Sorry to call out of the blue. I just wanted to surprise her. Send a little something while she's staying with you, but I don't have your address." There was a pause, longer than it should have been. "I'm sorry, Nick. There must be some mistake. Jenna's not here. I haven't seen her since... Wow, maybe my wedding? That was like 2 years ago." It felt like my phone got heavier in my hand. "Are you sure? She told me she was visiting you for a couple of weeks." 100%. "Is everything okay?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. I just hung up. Jenna had lied. Boldly. She lied about the trip, about the friend, about everything. And that's when I did something I'd never done before. I hired a private investigator.
His name was Jason Miller. Former cop, now private investigator. Came highly recommended, especially for cases involving families. My lawyer gave me his number. Within 24 hours and $800 later, Jason called me back, and his voice sent a chill down my spine. "Nick," he said, "your fiancée's not in Santa Cruz. She's in Monterey. Hotel name's Pacific Horizon. Checked in with a man named Tyler Sanders. Tyler Sanders, Ellie's father, the guy Jenna swore had abandoned them. The man she claimed was out of their lives for good." "You sure?" I asked, barely getting the words out. "I'll email you the photos," he said gently. "Sorry to be the one to bring this to you." I opened the email in my truck, parked outside a job site. My heart was pounding in my ears. There she was, Jenna, holding hands with a tall, dark-haired man, laughing, hugging him on the beach. In one picture, he's carrying her through the surf. In another, they're kissing like newlyweds. Jenna, the woman I was supposed to marry in 6 weeks. The one who left me with her daughter to clear her head. I sat there staring at the photos as something inside me broke. Not love. That wasn't the part that cracked first. What broke was the part of me that still believed in fairy tales. That if you just loved someone hard enough, everything would work out. That part of me died in that truck. 3 weeks after she left, she finally called. I was grilling burgers in the backyard. Ellie was playing on the swing set I'd built last summer. Her name flashed on the screen. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to let it ring, but curiosity got the better of me. "Nick," her voice trembled, I know you must be angry, but I really need to talk to you." I flipped a burger and said calmly, "Go ahead. I'm listening." "I made a huge mistake. I got scared, and Tyler convinced me to give things another try, for Ellie's sake. But it didn't work out. It never could have. I want to come back. It was all a mistake." I looked out the window. Ellie was giggling on the swing set, hair flying in the wind, so full of life. That swing set? I built it for her, because I wanted her to have the childhood she deserved. So you lied to me? Told me you were going to see your friend, and you went straight to your ex? Silence. Then barely a whisper. How do you know? I tried to send you flowers. Called Marina. She hasn't seen you in 2 years. The rest, I just confirmed. Nick, please let me come back. We can fix this. I still love you. Ellie misses you. Of course she does, I said. I'm her father, not by blood, but by being there. While you were playing house with Tyler, I canceled the wedding. The venue, the food, the flowers, everything. If you're not coming back, neither is the wedding. On the other end, I could hear her gasp. You're serious? More than ever, I said. You wanted to figure yourself out? Well, I figured something out too. I don't want to marry someone who runs back to their ex the moment things get tough. And what about Ellie? What about everything we built? I looked around the backyard, the home we had shared, the life we had layered together day by day. You should have thought about that before getting on a train to Monterey. You made your choice. Now live with it. Nick, please. I hung up, blocked her number, then walked out to the patio, smiled at Ellie, and told her the burgers were ready. She didn't need to see the adult world falling apart. This wasn't her fault.
Jenna showed up on my doorstep the very next morning. She'd looked like she'd been through a storm, hair pulled back messily, no makeup, wearing a wrinkled sweatshirt like she'd slept in it. Gone was the confident woman who'd once told me, I just need some air and I'll be back. The person in front of me was someone else entirely, lost, desperate, broken. I opened the door but didn't step aside to let her in. What do you want, Jenna? I need to talk to you properly, she said, her eyes darting past me, trying to see inside the house. Can I come in? No, I said flatly. Say whatever you need to say right here. Her face flinched. She wasn't expecting that. Nick, I know how this all looks, but Tyler swore he had changed. He said he wanted to be a real father to Ellie. I thought she deserved a chance to know him. And? I asked, arms crossed. He hasn't changed, she admitted, voice cracking. He's the same guy he was 3 years ago. The moment things got real, when Ellie started asking when we'd go home, he backed out, said he wasn't ready. What hurt me wasn't her words. It was how easily she'd come back. Like none of it happened. Like she could just slide back into our lives without missing a beat. And now you think you can just return like nothing happened? I love you, Nick. I made a huge mistake. But we can fix this. We can move the wedding, start fresh. I pulled out my phone, unlocked it, and showed her the screen. See this? It's a message from my lawyer. Yesterday, Tyler filed for custody of Ellie. Her face went white. What? That's not possible. He left us. Exactly. But he never officially gave up his parental rights. He just stopped paying child support. And now he's working at some logistics firm in Ohio, filed paperwork, and claims you're an unfit mother who abandoned her child for a fling. Jenna grabbed the doorframe, visibly shaking. That's not true. What part isn't true? I asked coldly. That you left Ellie with your mom for 3 weeks? That you checked into a hotel with her father? Or that you never called or FaceTimed even once? She was crying now. Nick, help me, please. You know Ellie loves you. She needs you. And that's when I said what I'd been holding back for weeks. I already filed with the court for temporary guardianship of Ellie. Grounds, child abandonment, emotional risk, unstable environment. Jenna collapsed onto the porch bench, knees buckling. You can't take her from me, she whispered. I'm not taking her. I'm protecting her from parents who care more about their drama than about her well-being. You went back to the man who abandoned both of you, and now you're living with the consequences. I started to close the door. She shot her hand out and blocked it. "This isn't over," she snapped. "You're not even her real father. You're just some guy I dated." I stared her dead in the eye. This some guy paid for her food, clothes, medicine, daycare, and art classes for the last year and a half. And now you'll have to explain to a judge why none of that matters. I shut the door and left her standing on the porch, surrounded by the wreckage of the life she'd thrown away.
3 days later, my phone rang at 6 a.m. It was my mom. Her voice had that sharp, metallic edge I hadn't heard since I was a teenager. "Nicholas James Wallace," she snapped. "What in God's name are you doing?" I sat up in bed, instantly awake. "Good morning to you too, Mom." "Don't be smart with me. Your father and I just got off the phone with Margaret. She told us everything. Are you seriously trying to take Jenna's daughter away from her?" I got up, walked to the kitchen, and poured a glass of water. I needed a second to figure out how to answer. "Mom, Jenna left," I said slowly. "She ran off with her ex for 3 weeks, no calls, no contact. She left Ellie behind. I can't just ignore that." "People make mistakes, Nick," her voice softened. "That's not a reason to destroy a family." "She destroyed it herself," I said firmly. "I'm just making sure Ellie doesn't become a pawn in the mess they created." Then my dad jumped in. Deep voice, serious tone, same as always. "Son, we raised you better than this. You don't punish someone through their child." That hit hard, like a punch straight to the chest. "You really think this is revenge?" I asked quietly. "Isn't it?" he replied. "You filed for custody the moment she came back. Looks like retaliation." I stared out the kitchen window, watching the sun just starting to rise. Everything outside was still. Inside, I felt like a hurricane was brewing. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "If Ellie were my biological daughter, and Jenna did exactly the same thing, what would you tell me?" Silence. "You'd say, fight for your kid. You'd say blood doesn't matter. What matters is being there. And I was there for 3 years. Every school event, every bedtime story, every pediatrician appointment. She left," I added, "not me." "But you're not her father," Mom said quietly. "No," I replied, "but I'm the only one who's putting Ellie's needs above my own feelings." I hung up and felt the air in the apartment grow colder. An hour later, my phone rang again. It was my younger brother, Josh. "Mom called me, told me what's going on." "So you think I'm being petty too?" I sighed. "Actually, no," he replied calmly. "I think you're doing exactly what I'd do if someone messed with my kids." There was a pause. Then he added, "You know how Mom and Dad are. They still believe that every betrayal can be fixed with a heartfelt conversation. But you and I both know it doesn't always work like that." He was talking about our sister, Olivia. Years ago, she ran off with a musician, broke our parents' hearts. They thought they could talk her back. They were wrong. "So you think I'm doing the right thing?" I asked. Honestly, I didn't know why I even needed the validation. He said, "I think you're doing the hard thing, and sometimes the hard thing is the right thing." The next day, I met with my attorney. My attorney's name was Logan Carter. Seasoned, sharp, and clearly expensive. He wore a blazer that probably cost more than my whole tool set. But when it came to Ellie, I was willing to spend whatever it took. We met at his office overlooking a construction site near downtown, glass and steel rising everywhere, while I was just trying to save the one thing in my life that mattered most. "We need to build a solid position," Logan said, spreading documents across the table.
The hearing is in 4 weeks. We need to be ready for anything Jenna's side might throw at us." "Like what?" I asked. "Like portraying you as the bitter ex, trying to punish her by using the child," he said. "They'll argue you're not the biological father, you have no legal claim, and this is all driven by spite." "And what do we do about that?" Logan gave a tight, confident smile. "We use every card you've got. You have a steady income, a registered business, and you own your home. You're a stable presence. Can you prove you've financially supported Ellie these past 3 years?" I nodded. "Good," he said. "That's huge. And will also show that Jenna has made a series of reckless decisions." He pulled out a thick file folder. I dug into Tyler Sanders. He's not exactly the model dad. Turns out he tried starting over with several different women. He has a son in Pennsylvania he hasn't seen in over 5 years, and a daughter in Indiana. He's owed nearly $20,000 in back child support. I exhaled slowly. It wasn't satisfaction I felt, just relief that my instincts had been right. "This will help us a lot," Logan said. "Now, something else." He pulled out another document. "The joint account you and Jenna set up for the wedding, she withdrew nearly $4,000 from it, right after she left." My jaw clenched. That's the exact amount they spent at the hotel. I remembered checking the balance and thinking it looked low, but I'd figured she must have made a deposit or paid something early. I hadn't questioned it. So she didn't just leave. She stole from me to fund a romantic getaway with her ex. Technically, yes. It's considered misappropriation of joint assets. Whatever shred of pity I had left disappeared right then. "There's one more thing," he added. "I checked with her employer. She no longer works there." "What?" "She was fired 2 weeks before the trip for using company resources, email, time, everything, to plan her vacation. She never told you, did she?" I shook my head, staring out the window. The people on the street looked so small from up here, like ants, and yet my entire world felt like it was collapsing floor by floor, like a demolition crew was tearing down the life I thought I had. "So," Logan summarized, "we've got no job, stolen funds, child abandonment, and a boyfriend with a history of vanishing from his kids' lives." I nodded, my voice tight. "All true. And since Jenna left, you've been the only stable adult caring for Ellie. That matters." Then Logan looked me dead in the eye. "Nick, I have to ask you one thing, and I need you to be honest. Are you doing this for Ellie or to get back at Jenna?" I paused, thought about Ellie in her pajamas, holding up a storybook, her crayon drawing of 3 little stick figures under a sun, her voice saying, "Daddy Nick, read one more." "Both," I said. "But if I had to choose, always Ellie first. I'm fighting for her." Logan nodded. "Good. That's exactly what we'll tell the judge." The courtroom was smaller than I expected, but it felt like a cathedral. The weight of what was about to happen pressed down on me like stone. This wasn't about money or property. This was about Ellie's future. Jenna sat across from me with her lawyer. Her face was pale, her eyes downcast. I could tell she'd tried to clean up, hair brushed, makeup applied, but 3 months of bad choices don't wash off that easily. The judge was Patricia Monroe, late 60s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense posture. She had the kind of presence that said she'd heard every excuse in the book and didn't believe any of them until she saw proof. Jenna's lawyer went first. He painted the usual picture. Me as the bitter ex, overstepping, trying to use custody to punish a woman who simply had doubts about the marriage. But then Logan Carter stood up. He didn't posture, didn't raise his voice. He presented everything methodically. Bank statements showing the withdrawal of wedding funds, her termination notice from work, photos of her and Tyler, statements from witnesses, my financial records, tax returns, and a timeline of the past 3 years. Most importantly, he showed my role in Ellie's life. Bedtime routines, school drop-offs, doctor visits, family photos, every memory backed by evidence. The longer he spoke, the tighter the judge's jaw got. Finally, she turned to Jenna. "Ms. Lawson," she said, flipping through documents, "you withdrew funds from a joint account meant for household expenses, then used that money to take a romantic trip with another man. You left your daughter with your mother and made no contact for 3 weeks. Explain how this serves the child's best interests." Jenna's voice was barely audible. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought Ellie needed her father. And for that, the judge continued, you lied to the person raising her with you, failed to disclose your unemployment, and brought her into contact with a man who, according to these records, has abandoned multiple other children. Do you see how that raises concerns? Jenna nodded slowly, fighting back tears. Then came the most powerful moment of the trial. Margaret, Jenna's own mother, took the stand. "Your Honor," she said, her voice cracking, "Nick is Ellie's father. Maybe not by blood, but in every way that matters. She calls him Daddy. And when Jenna left, Ellie cried every night. For him, not for her, not for Tyler, for Nick." The courtroom went completely still. Judge Monroe looked at us, then delivered her ruling without hesitation. Temporary custody is granted to Nicholas Wallace. The mother may have supervised visitation pending completion of parenting classes and stable employment. The custody petition from Mr. Sanders is denied. I didn't cheer. I didn't smile. I just exhaled, deep and long, like coming up for air after holding your breath too long. At the door, Jenna caught up to me. "Well, are you happy now?" I looked at her calmly. "No, but I'm at peace. Ellie needs stability, and now she has it." 3 months later, the temporary custody order became permanent. By then, Jenna had finished her parenting classes and found a job, but the damage had been done. During visitations, Ellie was polite but distant. Something between them had broken. Not because of me, because of choices Jenna made. As for Tyler, he disappeared again. Another failed restart. Another daughter left behind. It's been 2 years since that courtroom day. The life I thought had crumbled that spring found new shape. A quieter, steadier kind of life. One without lies. One built on trust and daily effort. Ellie is 7 now, 2nd grade. Reads voraciously, writes beautifully, loves art. Every Sunday we go to the pool, the one I built in our backyard. Our backyard. Because this house, it's her home now, truly. 6 months ago, we finalized the adoption. I am, officially, her father. Jenna signed over her parental rights, not right away, of course, but eventually reality caught up with her. Court fees piling up, her daughter growing more distant by the month. It became less of a choice, more of a necessity. In return, I dropped the financial charges over the stolen wedding funds. It wasn't about revenge. It was about closing the book. She needs consistency, I told Logan when he filed the final papers. She needs a home, not a battleground. One afternoon, Ellie and I were watering flowers by the fence when she looked up and asked, "Daddy Nick, why did Mommy Jenna leave?" She didn't ask it with anger, just curiosity, processing, trying to make sense of something most adults can't even understand. You know, I said, putting down the watering can, sometimes grown-ups do things that hurt other people. Not because you're bad, but because they're not ready to be who they need to be. She nodded, thoughtful, then asked, "Were you ready?" I hugged her close and said, "Maybe not at first. But the day you called me Dad, from that moment, I was all in." My parents completely accepted her. My dad built her a treehouse in the old oak by the fence. My mom takes her shopping, teaches her how to bake cookies, calls her my girl. Ellie calls them Grandma and Grandpa without hesitation. And me? I've started opening up again, slowly. There's someone new in my life, Samantha, the owner of a local bookstore downtown. We met when I helped patch a leak in her ceiling. She thanked me with a stack of fairy tale books for Ellie. Then came a coffee, then came more. She never pushed. She understood that Ellie and I come as a package and never once made me feel like we were a burden. She once told me, "I had a stepmom who acted like I was in the way. I won't do that to another little girl. It's all of us, or nothing." As for Jenna, she now lives in Michigan, married to some corporate guy. Sends a birthday card and Christmas postcard every year. No calls, no questions, just a sticker, a signature, a zip code. Ellie reads them, puts them in a box, never asks to call. I don't push her. Sometimes I wonder if I should feel guilty for how it all turned out, for winning. But then I see her laughing at a birthday party, building castles in the sandbox, or reading a fairy tale aloud to the neighbor's puppy, and I know I did the right thing. She doesn't say Daddy Nick anymore. Now she just says, Dad. It happened quietly. No announcement, no big moment. Just one day, that's what I became. And when someone asks me, "Is she yours?" I don't hesitate. I don't explain. I just smile and say, "Yes, she's mine." Because fatherhood isn't about blood. It's about choice, about presence, about being there every single day. And I chose her. And one day, she chose me back. That's enough. Thank you for listening to this story. If it moved you, made you think, or simply kept you listening to the end, we'd be truly grateful if you gave it a like and subscribe to the channel. Every story we share is based on real experiences, and your support helps us keep telling them. Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you have a story of your own, we'd love to hear it. Until next time, take care of yourselves and those you love.